Like many other parents, Tony and Sa parents always limit their children's use of electronic devices. However, how can they prevent two virtual leopards from craving free of the endless plateau? If you let it out, they will trick parents into taking away the game consoles that they control very closely after their children's use of electronic devices because they are afraid that spies will take advantage of the devices. That way they could gain access to their secret working system. Because they were super top secret spies, after sending their two children into the car to go to school, the couple immediately took off their clothes to catch the spy who'd been following them. For a long time, this group of people wanted to hack the CP code that would immediately trigger the end of the world for the Secret Service organization. They got it. All the computers in the world would lose control after killing all of them, just the two of them, suddenly encountering a giant robot. The special human couple was of course no match for it. With just a few simple moves, the robot took back the watch and jumped at the building to escape. But fortunately, code was not in them. They were confused and didn't understand that this steel thing falling from the sky was Aunt Rice. But all the children here knew that big guy, so the robot had just exchanged moves with two people. The spy couple is a knights from a game called Malik. Coincidentally, their son is also a passionate fan of this game. The publisher of this game always wanted to have the secret code to change the world. He secretly installed Tony poison and reward and then waited for the opportunity to hack and to find the password. From there, the two brothers were very excited to experience the new version of Malik. But just after playing for a few minutes, the screen showed strange signs. When the couple discovered that there was an intruder, it was too late. The husband immediately suspected that the children had caused this, but who would have thought that they would get there? Then they hid back in their bedrooms as if nothing had happened. That morning the storm finally hit and the world was falling into chaos. The ghost game appeared on everyone's electronic devices regardless of use. For any service, people are required to participate in free and then win. Only then will the devices return to normal operation. This causes a lot of trouble in withdrawing money, but they also destroy the peace. It's really endless, except for the gamers who really like this. Most of the other feel very uncomfortable because their lives have been completely turned upside down. Tony parents think it's very possible that Ray has killed them, stole the doomsday code and incorporated it into this game. As soon as they finished speaking, the four people were trapped in their own house, and then the game villains broke in and attacked them. Immediate concessions, matching swords and spades, the bad guys fell face down in front of Tony admiration. Meanwhile, the youngest daughter also took advantage of winning the game to unlock the door when the whole family had just escaped danger. Suddenly, they were surrounded by a group of skeletons. At this point, the parents didn't care about keeping the secret anymore, but quickly took the two children down the aisle. The secret was about to have, who would have thought that? The children with the bones had already been changed, so the father saw this and immediately rushed to fight with them to buy time for his wife to give the tracking necklace to his daughter. He started the car and got the children to safety. However, the two brothers only just got there. As soon as he poked his head out onto the road, he was immediately discovered by a group of bad guys who chased him extremely hard. At this time, one guy even tried to hack into the car system to take over control to change the destination of the two lucky children. The way to control this car is quite similar to the game Sera used to play, so she despite the danger chose to control the car herself with her driving skills and immediately forced one person to leave the game. There was another guy who jumped on the roof of the car to try to kill the two children. But the girl quickly made a very sharp CDP that directly knocked the moving skeleton after a series of extremely smooth swings by the crew. Helping the two brothers successfully cut off the bad guys, waited for them to go far, then drove away and the younger sister continued driving to a safe location. Only in front of them was a lake with trees around. It seemed like there was no safe base that the mother had mentioned. While they were both still asking questions, a sudden sound rang out. The father asked the identities of the two children after revealing their full names. In my family, Tony and I were taken to a base deep under the lake. At this time, our mother reflection gradually appeared and began to reveal her identity as a spy, surprising the two children. Proudly, right behind the introduction desk, the amenities in the room were immediately activated one by one, not only to meet the needs of normal living, but also to serve as a place for the equipment to practice to enhance combat ability in the field. At this time, the spy couple was kidnapped and held incommunicado at his base with a plan use the doomsday code to take over the world, but unexpectedly, during that attack, a boss incident occurred. Technology wanted them to help them fix their errors to continue their quest to conquer the world. However, the couple directly rejected each of the gang offers of cooperation, making him bitter. The challenge: if they win, just leave, come here to reunite with their children. Otherwise they will have to stay here to repair the system for him. Although he possesses a skillful set of fighting skills, the couple faces many difficulties because the entire place is built based on the simulation of the boss Malik game. Because they never touch video game like this, they proved quite hard and struggled when confronting its creator. After a while, during the fight, Ri completely took over the Thuong Fong, not giving the couple any chance to fight back or protest, so came in and took away the wife remaining necklace in order to find the two children through the device. Watching inside, perhaps what the youngest daughter is keeping will be the secret to repair and upgrade his system. On the other hand, they still do not know the danger that is about to come because they are still busy enjoying the fun gadgets in this secret room. After equipping themselves with cool spy costumes, the two children continued to discover other interesting things here. A device that can stick to everything when activated until the bubble has the ability to control other people's emotions. There is even an extremely small, intelligent robot assistant. However, as soon as those exciting experiences have not ended, Sera has already begun worrying about the safety of their parents. Really gave birth to a cool-hearted child. At this moment, the safe door automatically opened. Behind them were men dressed in black who identified themselves as their parents' colleagues. The two kids were half faithful and half suspecting, so they still didn't show up and didn't want to waste time. They immediately opened the door and rushed in, preparing to kidnap the children and take them back to the base. Who would have thought that Tony and his sister would have found the here mechanism and activated it? Traps hidden below through the watches on their hands. After successfully preempting the opponent, the eldest brother jumped directly and used the robot hand to attack and push one guy into the hole, while Sera on this side also immediately used a smiley ball. Playing 3 caused the remaining 2 guys to fall into the angular. Taking that opportunity, the 2 children quickly escaped through the back door, but as soon as they got out of the tree, they had to encounter a guy in a suit wearing extremely dark glasses. Luckily, that man was the superior of the children parents. The reason the boss wanted to arrest the 2 Tony brother was because no one in the entire intelligence agency could crack the game, so they couldn't the system as it was. Tony immediately showed off his typing skills. He snaked away from his parents to go play, and he didn't need to spend much time to organize the startup. Back to the computer system, Sera suddenly remembered what her mother had taught her about the item. She wanted her daughter to find it and keep it at home safely in case something bad happened. So the couple carefully separated the pair to doomsday codes through 2 pieces of puzzle. They are currently holding 1 piece, and if the enemy gets both, then the game virus will spread to every device in the world. Until then, he will become the king of the world. Thanks to the necklace left by the female agent, they found the detention location. But before they could act, his subordinates all came here to cause trouble. The family is different. Feathers are like wings. The 2 children fell into danger, but did not flinch and immediately dueled with the monsters, causing them to face down. Sera intended to get the doomsday code and escaped before the situation got worse, but it didn't. Who would have thought that the boss would suddenly intervene, saying that this was none of their business, and as a result, an apocalypse code fell into the enemy hands. Thanks to the announcement of the world contempt for children, the 2 children did not show up and rushed up, although the plane could not be controlled. Fortunately, there was a robot assistant to help them successfully escaped from the enemy pursuit very quickly. Just a moment later, the 2 arrived at Ray Base to prepare for rescue. The terrain and structure here are very similar to those in a virtual reality game. Tony immediately used deep session glasses to analyze and learned that everything was covered by artificial intelligence. While the couple was very excited, feeling impatient and desperate when he hasn't found a way to escape from this place, the husband reveals that in their last mission to destroy the evil man, he did not destroy all of his things, including even the doomsday code, and decided to bring it home to study, and then finished writing the code to figure out how to use this weapons. But the NOM detector failed after many tries, and people actually completing it was their believed genius son. Now another truth was revealed when the wife who had been standing in front of the husband all this time was actually just pretending to be her. On the other side, Tony found the computer hidden behind the wall. Thanks to the help of his assistant, the 2 had the entire map of the base at the same time that the boss henchmen also gathered to listen to the story. The 2 spy kids hiding behind also accidentally overheard the entire plot to fuse the 2 pieces of steel and were secretly watching, when suddenly Tony was discovered by the robots and attacked, forcing the 2 children to jump. But fortunately, the boy quickly activated the cable attached to the bridge and was able to hold his sister. After the danger had passed, the 2 children immediately ran to the cell to rescue their parents. As soon as the gathering ended, the whole family was shocked to hear that the doomsday code had been merged and would launch in a few minutes. They immediately made a plan to find a server to delay the time for had to split into 2 and temporarily continue to move away from each other to act separately on this side. Tony and Sera activated the zero-gravity mode on the shoes to walk on the ceiling to avoid the attention of the guards. Unexpectedly, when the 2 walked entering the elevator, he fell down and was hit by a fly. He thought he was falling into a trap, but it turned out that he was able to enter the central control room. The eldest brother wanted to try to stop the doomsday code and finish the job because this core code was caused by Tony had unintentionally helped his father complete it. So he understood very well that he could simply repeat the previous steps to complete the 2 innocent children who could not believe that this was really the trap that Ray had set, created as soon as Tony his work. This doomsday code was truly merged and action. It turned out that thanks to knowing father's story, the technology tycoon had created this plan and then borrowed Tony's hand to help him, carrying out his ambition to take over the world. The children parents were once again unable to escape the hands of the monsters. At this point, Ray no longer hid his true identity. In fact, he was the child, the intestines of the evil man that they and their husband destroyed not long ago. The blood-destroying weapon that his father had designed but had not yet been completed was also taken by their family, so Ray planned to take it back. Thing that should have belonged to him in order to turn the real world into a virtual world like the game he released. At this time, the entire world is also completely controlled and it seems to prevent the danger. There is only one left. That way is to enter the virtual world and find a way to defeat Ray to retrieve the crypt analyst, immediately throw bubbles to control the guarding robots, then sit with the whole family in virtual reality chairs to prepare for the game before their eyes. This is the cruel world of Malik. Tony and his sister knew very well the process of breaking in, so they both went ahead and led the way to help parents overcome each challenge immediately. The monsters were arranged, ready to rush out to attack Tony parents, not afraid to collide, but openly massacred the crowd. The two brothers on this side were no less competitive when they took turns performing special moves to send each of them to the scorecard without losing anything. Too much time. The monsters have been cleaned up by the Spy family. Now the four of them have reached the final level of the game by the rule that only one of them is allowed to directly confront the guy. The remaining three people will be responsible for taking care of the funeral of his strangest general. Tony is an excellent player of this game, so his family trusts him with the responsibility of ending the battle. Ray, without hesitation, except two people, the strongest thing in the world, started using pig spears to skewer the opponent. Ray was the one who designed the game, so he understood it very well, and with just a few blows he was able to gain an advantage over the boy. However, never underestimate the enemy, especially those who hid from their parents to play game. After losing their advantage, Tony immediately changed his attack strategy. At the same time, the remaining three people were also having to deal with his powerful henchmen. The Prime Minister power is indisputable. Every time the pair of super spies rushed in, they were pushed to the ground by him and completed to him. Their attack power was like a stainless steel tip. At this time, they were also pushed to the edge of the cliff, was about to suffer the final blow, but at the moment the cliff was about to fall, she decided to inform her opponent who was about to harm her. He, of course, ignored her words, so she fell down the cliff, but fortunately, when the spy couple saved him, he was so moved by what their family had done to him that the Prime Minister immediately changed sides and surrounded unconditionally. Tony was still struggling against the Ray and could not find his way, figuring out how to defeat him. Seeing that his son was at a disadvantage, the impatient father decided to break the rules of dueling to save his son, but I didn't want that to happen to make the match fair, so the boy took it directly. His body blocked his father's support attack and the result caused Tony's health bar to drop uncontrollably. He took that opportunity to take out all the remaining health and then struck the surprised boy. At this moment, with thunder from all around, the sky exploded. The eyes of the stone statue behind him suddenly lit up and directly revived the boy. It turned out that Tony had officially unlocked a legendary power diddle in this game, that infinite power. Then the same guy is clearly no longer BAC opponent. He really didn't expect to meet the reckless guy who was just waiting for that. Tony unleashes ultimate move with an extremely powerful damage attack that immediately ended the game. The last boss successfully cleared the game. Players must keep their word and do not want to violate the rules of the game they created, so they immediately closed the Doomsday code as agreed. So this virtual reality game, but very similar to the real thing, finally ended. After that, he also realized his own mistake and officially returned to his passion for creating game. The spy agency also immediately completely destroyed that dangerous apocalyptic code. To tell the story, there is no longer a chance to threaten humanity. Thanks to their glorious victory, the two Tony brothers officially become Kid Spy. Their future talent seemed to be much larger and more prominent than their parents.